Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable, life can be a little bit dark, so we are here to bring you as much light and as much joy as possible. I'm Bradley, I'm currently being bitten by a puppy. I'm joined by Stu, who is rubbing his cat.
No. No. I normally am. I can normally be found, stroking a feline. But at this moment, I'm being professional and I'm not doing that. Although, what was it?
Fair
Blofeld was professional whilst stroking a cat. So it can be done.
Yes, definitely.
I just think we should pat ourselves on the back for not using a pussy joke.
Yes, I agree. We was having a nice serious conversation. I am being attacked by a puppy.
Yeah, that is true.
So if you do hear random like ouchies and screams and F-offs, that's me talking to the dog.
Yeah, sure.
Life's great, isn't it? You know, the usual crap in the media and everything. Although my favourite story this week, have you seen how upset like the White House have got over the Super Bowl halftime show this year?
I have, yeah, and they've put in counter programming for it as well.
Yeah, I know. The funny thing is, right, they're angry over it, right, not realising that Bad Bunny is actually a US citizen and is the first actual US citizen in like a decade to be doing the halftime show. Whereas over the last decade, most people have been like non-US citizens that have been doing. They might be like Canadian or British or something like that. And they've not had they've always had problems, but they've not had a major problem with it. But they've decided to go after Bad Bunny, who is an American citizen.
Yeah. Well, the defining tenet of racism is that they're stupid. So, it's just a highlight in that.
I know. Do you remember once when like the biggest controversy was Janet Jackson's nipple slipping out?
I know, right? I know, the human body.
I know. Of a woman.
I know. Such terror.
I know.
I think a lot of them...
Did find out whether it was black or white as well.
Oh, God, See, that is in bad taste, Bradley.
Well, it is, but it's referencing her brother.
I know, I got that.
Some people might not get that. But that's I always thought maybe that's what he was trying to work out. I don't know.
Who
just
knows?
Leave me alone. I just got a Michael Jackson joke in my head and I decided to go with the least problematic one, okay? Just leave me alone.
Oh, the Michael Jackson minefield. That's what it is.
Yes. Did we... Right, such has been the week. Did we talk last week about Catherine O'Hara? I can't remember whether that happened after we recorded.
We didn't talk about it. I can't remember if it had happened before or after, but no, we didn't.
Must have been after. What? Do you know what? She was amazing. That one hit me hard because there was nothing she was in. Didn't matter how bad the thing she was in was. She was amazing in it, and it broke me, that one.
Yeah,
it really did. Especially hearing like Macaulay Culkin, like he referred to her as mummy to the day she died because that's how close they became and everything.
Yeah,
and it was like everyone who's worked with her, like the eulogising of her is wow. And I'm just so happy for her in a way that she got that one. She always had she was what was considered a great side character in everything. She was never the main character in anything. But she made, I think, sort of supporting actors what they stand out. She stood out higher than the main cast sometimes. And when she got her turn as Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, I think that was the most defining, amazing send off for her. What an amazing actress, and by all accounts, what an amazing person as well.
Yeah, she seems to have been universally loved. I'm so glad that she was in Schitt's Creek for so long and must have made proper bank because, she totally deserved it. But, I absolutely loved her in stuff like Best in Show, and...
So it's why you can see how crushed Eugene Levy was. The amount of stuff he done with her for the Christopher Guest films. Best in Show. She was she played trophy wife brilliantly in that.
Oh, there's just nothing she couldn't do. She's a bit like Catherine Hahn, just
yes.
Fearless and like Madeline Kahn as well. Just fearless, funny, incredibly sharp. Yeah, just amazing.
And you think in Home Alone, she was, as Kevin McAllister's mum, she was a horrible person. She wasn't a very nice person, yet she was so endearing as that character that you loved her until you realised, wait, no, she's actually quite a really horrible parent in many ways.
Yeah, she's a Karen.
And then she allows the same thing to happen because she's not the best of parents. But it's Catherine O'Hara, and you didn't realise why you loved her then. But now, sort of like when you look back, you do. But I think sometimes not the good thing about someone like that when they pass. My TikTok for about a week was just wall to wall Catherine O'Hara clips, mainly from Schitt's Creek. And yeah, she is just the most amazing person. And I can't ever think of the word baby again without it being in her accent in my head.
Yeah. What a fantastic person, an actor. Yeah.
And yeah, well, I can never remember who it's attributed to. The quote: "You die twice. First time you die physically, and then you die a second time when people forget you. And in that respect, as has been said, Catherine O'Hara will never die."
Yeah. Fair play.
One thing that is dying.
What's that?
Video game industry.
Yeah. You think, yeah. I suppose it is.
AI
really.
bull crap is ruining it because now the Steam machine's been delayed. Steam frames being delayed. They don't know when it's going to happen. They're saying first half of 2026, but it's all to do with AI and the cost of RAM and graphics cards, and it's a mess.
It is a total mess.
So, thankfully, Stu, we can play some stuff that's already out. And we know works on current systems on the whole. So I'm going to offer to you, first time for a while, what have you been playing?
Oh, yeah, nice change. Yeah, so I've actually been playing a few things, and I'm going to talk about two of them. And the first one is very modern, and the next one is retro. And the modern one is I Hate This Place, which is out to...
You didn't have to tell me that on the show, Stu. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. I like to throw these things at you. I don't believe it's out yet, is it? As at time of recording on the 6th of February.
It's just released, I believe, or coming over the weekend. I don't know.
Right.
I believe so. I don't know. Let's just say yes.
I'm going to check it. Hang on. Ah, yeah. It came out on the 29th of January. Right. So
we're clear.
We are safe. Good. Right. That's right. Okay, so it's an isometric survival horror, basically, and it's done in a comic book style. It's based on comic books, I believe, and you basically play this young woman who's gone back to like her family estate, and all sorts of weird things are happening, and she hates that place. What's there in the title?
It's like going to your names at Christmas.
Well, exactly, although not quite that bad. The turkey isn't quite as dry. But, so basically you have to investigate what the hell's going wrong, this nightmarish, strange new reality that's going on in this place. And that sort of consists of, wandering around, killing monsters, and also it has like survival elements. Now, we've talked a lot about this in the last few weeks, well, over the last sort of few years really, of the increasing it's one of the trends in games where there's increasing levels of survival aspects in a lot of titles, and this has that. So you've got like your health bar, you've got a stamina bar, so you've got your like, what's it called, bloodborne influence there a little bit, because you've got to stick that in, and you've got a health bar, your favourite. So you have a food consumption bar. So you have to consume food, which is separate from your health bar.
Try to contain my rage.
Yeah. So it's hitting. It's like the equivalent of your bingo card for your deck builders, but it's for survival horror / Bloodborne kind of games. Okay, and you've got to maintain all those. So you've got to scavenge, and then you've got to do crafting. And you also find weaponry and items and ammo that you can use that don't have to be crafted. You also can create like survival areas, like bases that you can that help you with developing and upgrading and things like that, tweaking. But essentially, the way that it plays is like a standard survival horror to a lot, to many degrees. You have melee weapons and you have distance weapons, and you also have, there's a stealth mechanic. So we'll just add that one in as well. You've got your bloodborne stamina, you've got your crafting, food meter thing, survivalist food meter, and you've also got your stealth aspect. Okay, so you throw all these into the pot and you go around, and it's spooky, obviously. It's tense. It's not particularly scary, I would say, but, it is tense. It's got that classic survival horror thing of, it's not a horror film. It's not going to actually genuinely frighten you, but it makes you tense because you're balancing all of these different values as you're going along. Now, I'll start with the good. So it looks nice. Not phenomenal, but it's got a good comic book style, a bit of cell shading, built-in Unity engine. Looks better than a lot of Unity games do. It's got a nice comic book style of like the Batman TV show of the 60s where, you get your pow and thud and blam come up on the screen, which is a lovely touch, very comic booky. Some of the melee stuff works quite well. The menus are quite snappy. It's not really a problem navigating through them. And I like the design of the levels mostly, although because it's isometric, it does look a bit kind of blocky. It's not very fluid. It's very much built on a grid system, and you can see that. But I still like it. I think it looks nice. That's all the kind of really positive things I have to say. I really strongly dislike stamina bars in most games, and it's not that bad here, but combined with the fact that you've got a health bar where you take damage and you have to heal, and you have to scavenge the things to heal, and you have to keep replenishing your food, which we've talked about in so much detail that people do not get hungry after 10 seconds of walking. If they do, they've got serious mental health
They've got a chronic illness and probably shouldn't be doing what they're doing in the video game.
Yeah, precisely.
I'll come back to this after you've spoken.
Yeah. I've not got much else to say, unfortunately. I think
I have, but it's something else I've been pondering. But we'll come to it after you finish your coverage.
Okay.
Of the rest of it.
Yes, and stealth that doesn't work brilliantly. The mechanics don't kind of gel properly, and it all kind of really drags it down. You've got tanky enemies, slightly broken stealth. It's once again, like we were saying last week, it's just too much stuff chucked in. It's too many items, too much added to the recipe, and none of them perfected. And when you do that, when you throw a load of good but not great elements together that they're in conflict with one another, you just end up with a fairly mediocre experience that doesn't satisfy you. And unfortunately, that's what it does for me. I think it had a lot of potential, but the balance is completely off. The pacing of the game is not exciting, and the constant scavenging and worry and fret and constantly having to craft and survive, as well as playing it as a regular Resident Evil game, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've had a look at this and I struggled. One of the things, my big problems was, I know a lot of games don't want to do hand-holding, and I get that, but you still need some direction in the game to set you off. And this lacks that. It kind of dumps you and then goes off you wander. And when you start off in the woods, it's just too dark. And I don't mean like, oh my God, it's got dark. It's just physically too dark. So you can't see a path anywhere. And you got your torch. But the torch, but I get the feeling, this is something, it's not just this developer, it's all developers when it comes to darkness. So they don't realise how light works. So if you have a torch, yes, you see best directly where the torch is shining, but the way light reflects, it reflects on other things and in your peripheral highlights things. So if you've got a torch, don't completely make the rest of your screen too dark that you've actually got to turn up the brightness in the game to work out the path you're following. You've got to use that light better. And that's just a minor quibble with that. And that was a big problem of mine to get it going, that it just lacked that early direction just to say this is what you're meant to be doing. It just kind of dumped you in and went, have at it. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. With regards to the hunger meters, I'm going to bring you back to, I think, which is a classic film of our generation, of the last generation, the mid-2000s, Crank. Right, which is a stupid concept, that he's got to keep his adrenaline high because of this thing that happened. And if he doesn't keep his adrenaline high, his heart stops and he dies. Right? It's stupid in terms of how things work, but in the context of that film, it gives reason to why Jason Statham can't stop moving. It's a stupid reason, but it gives reason. If these games that have your hunger meter drop in as quickly as it does within the context of the game, give a reason for that. Has this person got a long-standing condition that we've never heard of before? I've got this thing where if I don't eat constantly every 10 minutes, my stomach will fall in on itself or something. I don't know. But you've got to give reason as to why people in video games don't have normal hunger patterns. Because otherwise, with regards to it just does not make sense. And it just pulls you out the rest of it, going, well, I can press ahead to do this. I've not got enough food. I've got to go all the way back. I've got to scavenge for food. I've got to look around, hope I can craft it. And if I can't, am I now screwed for the rest of it? It just doesn't add the weight to the survival horror. Survival horror isn't about making sure you've got enough food. Survival horror is about literally surviving the threat. Which is what Silent Hill did brilliantly. It's what Resident Evil... Did I say Silent Evil?
No, you said Silent Hill.
I did say Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Sorry. Silent Hill does it... Resident Evil does it brilliantly. I think Evil Within does it brilliantly. That's how you do survival horror. Survival horror is not about crafting food items. So, again, it's games that add that in and they don't do it properly. Is what bugs me. And yeah, it's another one of those. I think there's a really good game in there, but it needed some more play testing. I think it doesn't need like massive groups focus testing it, but it needs someone to have turned around and gone, I like this, but do we really need that?
Yeah, I think that we've gone too far in a way. The way that good games work is that they sift through reality and fantasy and they work out which parts work best for a game. So for Resident Evil, which is obviously the gold standard of what you judge these things by, you've got you can shoot enemies if they get hit in certain parts of the body, they're more disabled than if they're hit in the head. Okay, realism. Yeah. But you've also got your storage box, which is a warp hole that it's a black hole or a white hole or whatever between boxes, and wherever you put in is accessible in other places. And it's a fantasy workaround to make sure that it remains a fun game. And I think a lot of the problem with some of these types of games is that they forget that and they go, okay, well we're adding these elements of reality, because if you've got, basically what they're thinking is sim means sophistication. If you make something that's sort of sim-like, it means your game is more sophisticated. Now, I don't believe that. I think if you're going to make a sim, or you're going to make something that's based on sim values, it has to be super tight and super, perfectly built around those sim concepts. Mm-hmm. And I think that people think this added level of realism that we're able to do because of graphical power and fidelity and physics fidelity and lighting fidelity, which comes back to what you're saying about torches and flashlights for the American audience, is biting them in the ass. You need to gamify it more, and things like having a hunger meter ruin that, and having things like a flashlight that doesn't work as it would in the real world, or only half works as it would in a game world, that doesn't work. So, too many overlapping elements.
Yeah, totally. I mean, what you need in games, The sort of torch you need is the X-Files torch, which is over the top, just showed you everything when they used it. That's the sort of torch. Oh, Alan Wake. I think Alan Wake originally. That's how you use a torch. That's how you use light. That's a dark game. But as soon as you use the torch, the whole thing was illuminated in a really cool way. And obviously used light to help destroy like the monsters and everything within that game. That's how you use light. So it's something that needs to approach. Again, I'm not saying this is not a bad game. I think there's a lot of things that would improve it tenfold by removing elements. I think it's a good idea and the concept is brilliant. Unfortunately, I think it's one that needed a bit of focus testing. And again, one of the things you mentioned there is when we look at things, we've gone through a stage where everything was overly focus tested, where it was too safe, to a point now where I think people are scared of the word focus testing and go, we're not doing that at all now. I'm going to make the exact thing that I've got in my head, but not make sure it actually works.
Yeah. What surprises me, and I suppose some of it is kind of because you'd have to kind of lawyer up and you'd have to get quite careful around NDAs and stuff, is why more indie developers don't give to their community or to a select community the build of the final game, or at least, pre-alpha, so that they can play it through and call out these things. And it would help with the accessibility, with balance, tuning, all that sort of stuff. Whereas actually selling it and then fixing it after the fact, that you've lost a lot of your core audience by doing that.
Yeah, no, totally. It's definitely a wider discussion. And I feel almost in a way we're being unfair to the developers of I Hate This Place, that they're kind of getting like the discussion around their game, which is an average game. It's a decent game that's held back, in my opinion. It's definitely not a bad game. But unfortunately, in terms of the discussion, it's got a lot of the things in that both of us really don't like about a lot of modern games with meters.
Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. For me, like, the worst crime that, like, films can commit is to be boring. Like, bad films can be entertaining, but, boring films, everybody hates. With games, it's just bad balance is often the absolute killer. And it's a shame because it's so easily tweaked. It's so easily tweaked. If you get at it early enough, you can fix that problem. But, hey, there you go.
And one tip I will give all developers, actually two tips I'm going to give. One is, from the very beginning, dark mode is not an option, it's an accessibility thing. Always have alternative menu systems that are dark compared to light, or even the other way around. If you've got a dark menu system, have a light one, because it just opens it up for people who struggle with the other. The second, if you've got something in your game, in development, remove it. How does it affect the game? If it negatively affects the game, keep it and tweak it. If it doesn't affect the game negatively in any way, get rid.
Yeah, you should always, again, unless you're making a sim, you should always be striving to create the maximum fun in a situation, not stress, not blockages, not impediments. Fun. That
TWA your game. Do you know what TWA your game is?
No idea.
Thomas Was Alone your game.
Yeah.
Strip back to the barest elements. How good is your game? That is it. That could have been made, as I say, I've said this before, that could have been made with Unreal 5 assets of the most in-depth, detailed characters you've ever had. It does not improve Thomas Was Alone, because at its core, it is brilliant. And that is what Mike Biffle made, a game that at its core was brilliant. And it's the same you always do with design. If you strip this back of all colour, all text, is that logo still recognisable? It should be the same with game. If you strip away all fancy graphics, all the dialogue, everything, is the core concept of that game still fun? That's what you need to look at that point of making your game. Now, that might mean some games don't get made. That's not a problem. Not every game needs to be made. And again, we use I Hate This Place as the base of this. It's a decent game. It is a decent game. There's no, like, it's put together well. It's not full of bugs or anything like that. And a lot of the things we don't like in terms of, said, like, the enemies are a bit tanky and stuff like that. That's a preference thing. Other people might love that. But those meters don't add anything to that game. And in fact, for me, take away from that game. So all developers, I think, can learn from that. Can you remove something from your game and still keep the experience?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And yeah, I'm trying not to dunk on I hate this place, because like you said, it's a decent game. It's just
we don't hate this place.
No, we don't.
It's all right.
We are mildly.
It's all right. We all right this place.
Yeah, we are mildly disappointed by this place.
Yes. Anyway, moving on, because I'm trying to see, can I blame I hate this place for this next game? I'm not going to. I'm not. We're not dunking on it, honestly. Sorry to the developers that you the straw that broke the camel's back a bit there. It's fine. The game. It's worth checking out if you see it nice at like a decent price. It's definitely worth having a look at some point. Anyway, moving on. Just one of the quick ones for me that I've played towards the back end of last year, and it's still in early access. Assetto Corsa Rally. Now, many people will be aware Assetto Corsa is a realistic racing simulation game that it can be modded to within an inch of its life, and people have done that to make all kinds of genres and games within this racing game. Like, I think people have made like a police road traffic simulator where you can pull cars over, or you can drive actual sort of like country routes in the UK and all different things that can be done. It's amazing what they've done with this game over time, as well as just pure racing. But anyway, the developers of Assetto Corsa Rally have brought out a rally game, hence the name Assetto Corsa Rally. And it's, wow. Outside of Colin McRae Colin McRae, was it Dirt? No, it's not Colin McRae. Was it Dirt Rally, and Dirt Rally 2.0, and the original Richard Burns Rally? This is one of the finest rally experiences you could have in video game form. It is, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. The reason I know it's good is I'm not very good at it. I approached the first slight bend and just went off. Just went, okay, yep, this is good. This is pure simulation. And I played more of it, and I had to start off driving slowly and learning sort of like how the car handles and everything. You can't just, like an arcade like Sega Rally, just put your pedal to the metal and just go. You've really got to learn things. And it's got like real 3D laser scanned stages from around the world in it. What I really like about it is the co-driver is one of probably the better co-drivers I've ever had in a rally game, where it seems to actually be realistic pace notes. It's not just, it doesn't feel canned, and mistakes can happen and so on and so forth. And it is still in early access, and I think clearly it'll be better with a wheel for people, but it is playable with a controller. Could maybe do a few little accessibility tweaks to make it be a bit more forgiving with a controller, but early access, I'm assuming stuff like that will come, because Assetto Corsa, the racing game, does work fairly well with a controller despite being a pure sim. So I am expecting that to come at some point. But this is just really, really, really good. Visually, it is stunning. I mean, absolutely stunning. Even on a Steam Deck with lowered settings, it's like one of the most realistic looking rally games I think I've seen. It just feels like it should be like, just let it play out and photo mode and be photo mode the game. That's how nice it looks as a rally game. And yeah, I'm having a really good time with it. I've put it down now because it's early access, and I'll come back to it probably now on its 1.0. But my early impressions of this, if you like realistic rally games and you loved Dirt Rally and Dirt Rally 2, more modern, or you was a big fan of Richard Burns's rally, then this is an absolute no-brainer. Absolutely stunning game at every point.
Oh, cool. I mean, I might pick this up at some point. Unfortunately, I'm rubbish at them. I absolutely adore Sega Rally and Dirt Rally. Any sort of, not sim, but arcade or simcade versions of this. But I'm just rubbish at the proper stuff. But it looks fantastic. I still want to buy it, even though I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, that's where I am at. I know, again, I suck at this game. I am not good at this game, but that I think is why I know it's so good. That I am, it's I don't think I've completed a stage even close to unscathed yet.
Yeah,
and you do feel yourself if you feel yourself tensing up so much that you've got a cramp at the end of a stage, it's doing something right.
Yeah.
So the game shouldn't physically hurt you whilst you're playing them, except when it comes to something like a rally game, where you've got to be so on edge all the time that it does physically hurt.
Yeah.
And it's £25, and that is an absolute bargain for what this will end up being.
That is a steal.
I don't know if it's going to go up in price, when it hits 1.0. But if you've got any interest, knowing the developer's track record with Assetto Corsa, I think get this while it's in early access at £25. It'll probably even hit a minor sale at some point in one of the major ones. I think over Christmas, I think it got a drop to £21 or something like that. So, absolute bargain of a game at its price.
Yeah, absolutely sounds like it. And going back to the earlier debate, and again, not to dunk on I hate this place at all, but if you quite clearly delineate when you're doing a sim versus something that is emulating the feel of something from real life, then that's absolutely fine. If you delineate it and you make sure that people know that it's a simulation, then you get pleasure from it by following all the strict rules and tenets to make the thing that you do perfect in the game, and then you can do it. And that's as close to reality as you can possibly get without having to do it and actually kill yourself by driving around.
You've nailed it there. So, Assetto Corsa Rally, Dirt Rally, for example. I'm not going to go back to Richard Burns Rally because a lot of people won't have access to that. Modern day, it's aged well, but not. If you went to it fresh and you've never played it, you're not going to like it based on modern day rally sims. But what these rally sims do is they take the core concept of we are a pure rally game. And that is what we focus on, and it works. It's one of the reasons. Last week I reviewed Cairn, and it is an absolutely wonderful game. However, the better climbing experience, the better climbing simulation is New Heights, realistic climbing and bouldering, which I've mentioned. I think I've mentioned on Blue Sky. I've mentioned on a forum we use, and I will tell you that is the better climbing experience. That's the one where I know I can't climb. I've only got one leg for a start. I'm unfit and I can't climb. But when I was younger, I have climbing walls and things like that. What Cairn does is makes you you're scaling a mountain, and it gives you what's the potential experience of scaling a mountain, and that works. But it gives a few liberties with how you climb. What New Heights does is it takes you're going to climb at most 100 meters up, which isn't much in the grand scale of climbing, but you're going to climb 100 meters up this cliff face. And you're going to do it without any sort of it's basically free climbing that this is based on. And you've got to really consider where you put your foot, what opposing forces you're using, how you get certain grips, how you lean your body, all kinds of things, weight distribution, all of it in a really well thought out mechanic for moving your limbs about. And that is, for me, a much better climbing experience. And all it focuses on is these core elements. where do you place your limbs, how do you move your body to get up this mountain. And that works. If they'd have added in meters or time, like you've got to hit these timers or whatever it is, or you can only climb in these. If it had done that, it would have taken something away. But by going, look, the core of this game is where do you place your feet, how do you move your body, how to get, and you just got, all you got to do is get up that mountain. Done it. Or not even up that mountain, sorry, up that wall. You've done it, cool. If you want, go and do it faster. Can you do it without slipping? And it adds these challenges in afterwards. And that's the challenge isn't there in the game as such. The challenge is you, or the leaderboards. You're going, right, well, I've done this. It took me 10 minutes to climb this wall. 3 stars is 4 minutes. Oh, but on the leaderboard, someone's done that in 2.5 minutes. Right, and you know it's possible, because if you've watched Olympic climbing, and you see those scurry little bastards running up those walls, like weird, freakish, don't know what they're meant to be. That's not real. That has to be AI. They cannot be real. No one can run up a wall that far. Where's gravity? Right? If you see that, you know how quickly people can climb walls. So that 2.5 minutes in the leaderboard, you're going, that's whew. But you know it's possible because you've seen it in real life. And that is where you do it. The challenge comes from yourself and it comes after you've done the main part of the game. And it's the same with Assetto, Corsa, Rally. You get through. The main challenge is, can you get through that level? Can you get through that stage? Brilliant, well done. Right, you come in last, but now can you go do it again? And can you maybe go up a position? And that is what a good video game, I think, especially when you're trying to go for simulation-based, should be doing. I think Assetto Corsa Rally does that really well. Dirt Rally did it really well. I think Tetris as a video game does it spectacularly well. Can you consistently get to level whatever? Now, can you do that with a better score? Can you do it in a better time, etc., etc., etc.? New Heights does it really, really well. So it's there and you can do it. And it's amazing how some people really can come into that concept and others can't. And I don't even know what my point is now, Stu.
Yeah.
There's different ways of making video games. You just don't need to put everything into everything. It doesn't need the whole kitchen sink in there all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the main takeaway for me. Strip it, like you said, strip it back, TWA your game. What works, what doesn't. Is it maintaining the level of fun and engagement? And that's how you should approach it.
Mm-hmm. Next week I will talk about a game that throws all the kitchen sink at it in terms of, like, if you've ever thought you've seen every cat possible, think again.
Yeah, I've been playing
What's
that
next
as well.
for you?
Well, it's a very different one, a very, very different game. So, as I promised last week, I was going to play some retro stuff because, I was getting sick of what I was playing. Nothing was really connecting with me, and it's good to go back to arcade-style games, in my opinion, when you're feeling like that, because they're the most adrenaline, spike straight into your vein type game. So I played a good few, and I'll talk about them over the coming weeks. But the one that I want to talk about today is Monster World 4, which is a Mega Drive game, and it's a Japan-only Mega Drive game. So it's unlikely that very many people in our listenership will have played. And it has...
I hope you pushed your glasses up by the middle bit as you were saying that.
Yeah, no, I'm not being patronising. It's just a combination of it being ancient and also Japan only.
It's the Japanese only game, you've probably never heard of it.
Well, that ties into what I was going to say about hearing about it. It's part of the Wonder Boy series, which... It's so bizarrely titled. It's such a complicated, like, working out what were Wonder Boy games and when and how. Because they shared titles between home games and arcade games when they were completely different games. They dropped the name Wonder Boy from a lot of them and went towards Monster World. They had different sprites for different characters on different systems. Honestly, it's one of the biggest messes in terms of lineage that you can possibly try and dig out, which is a shame because they're all very, very excellent games. And
yeah, I thought for a while it was what was the Master System game called? I always thought it was part of the Alex Kidd series at one point, and I don't know why.
Well, it is almost the home Master System is almost the home of the Wonder Boy franchise. It's the
Which
one.
is probably why I got, in my younger days, got a bit confused.
Probably, yeah. So, very, very quickly, the first game is like a forced scrolling platform game, incredibly basic. And then from that point on, it became a kind of very light RPG platformer. So if you think a bit like Zelda, the early Zelda games, the 2D Zelda games, but as a side scroller instead of top down, that's basically it. Although they were much less sophisticated than that, and they kind of reached their peak with Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap on the Master System, which is like one of the best games, if not the best game on the Master System. It's got excellent platforming, great combat, it's got nice level up options, you swap characters, they all have different abilities, it's got a bit of a Metroid feel to it as well. It's the pinnacle of this game series, basically. But Monster World 4 is a creditable kind of follow-up. It doesn't reach the heights of The Dragon's Trap, but it has a lot of the same elements and works very well. So, yeah, it's a side-scrolling light RPG kind of thing. So you go around defeating enemies, you have a sword and a shield, and you collect coins from defeating them, which you can spend at shops to level your character up and stuff like that. Now, where it stands out, we've been going on for a long time. I'm going to make this very quick, really. But where it stands out is you can do things like block, so you can block with your shield, and that's needed in the boss fights particularly. It also means the type of enemies they have firing projectiles has a bit more sophistication. And you also get this like blue, like a little cute pet that helps with your jumping and also some other stuff when you level it up, which is really cool. Adds a bit of an extra level to it. But where it really, really stands out, this game, is it's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautifully drawn. It's got some of the loveliest sprites you see, really cute, just draw you in so much with the wild use of colours. It's just one of those like Rystar or, some of Treasure's greatest stuff, where it's just totally bright, gorgeous, beautiful, pushing the console as hard as it can. Lovely design work, very, very clever. The telegraphing of moves and attacks from enemies is surprisingly well done when the sprites are only, got a few frames of animation. And the design is just, it takes you away. It's slightly otherworldly, but it's got design elements that you recognise from the real world. And just that combination of all those things, and a really good kind of, the dialogue is really well written so that it's fun but to the point, so it doesn't overwhelm you, but it also helps and hints. But there are some good mysteries dotted around, and gameplay wise, it's got a very good jump. You've got a run with double tap, which is unusual, not usual for this series, and you can attack down and up when you're in flight, and it's just really well balanced that way. So although it's not up there as the absolute greatest Wonder Boy, it's probably, and I think I've played all of them, and I loved Wonder Boy and Monster World, which this most resembles, and it's probably the second best of all the games, which is really high praise because it's a very, very good series. So highly, highly recommended for me. Track it down on an emulator and have a go, because it's really good. Takes a little bit of time to get going. Give it an hour, but yeah, once you're into it, it's immense fun. One of the best looking games on the Mega Drive. It came out, I think, in '94, so it was like right at the end of the Mega Drive's era, possibly past the end of it. But 100% recommended from me.
Yeah, it's I've seen it before, never played it, but I think it's definitely one I want to try. I have played some of the Wonder Boy games before. Once I realised they weren't just more Alex Kidd.
Yeah.
So I think it's because it was in Monster World, and I just assumed Alex Kidd in Miracle World, and I just thought that was just part of the same series. So
gotcha. Yeah.
No, it's I'm aware of number 4. Glasses pushed up my nose, and I'll give it a go. I'll dig that out and give that a go at some point.
Excellent. Yeah, you won't regret. I don't think you'll regret it. Obviously, you can't guarantee what people are going to love, but it's really, if you like this style of game, you can't go wrong, really.
No, I can find you a game right now that I can guarantee some people aren't going to love.
Go on then.
But the discussion of why we will split into next week, otherwise we'll be here a very long time. So, the first thing I'm going to do is just cover the game itself. And the game is called Relooted, which is a platform heist-based runner game. So, essentially, this game is you are needing to reclaim African artifacts that have been taken by the West, put in museums, but are now being taken out of commission, or as the story in the game will tell you, essentially being stolen by the West and hidden for their own purposes. And you are trying to reclaim them. So you go in, and essentially the game loop is you go in, you find the artifact, and then you get out of there. Your main character is a parkour genius. She does parkour. She's got a reputation as being a bit of a parkour champion in her native land. And you basically, you go in, you use your parkour to get in. As soon as you get the artifact, you've got to leg it. So it's do you remember one of the old Wario games where it was you go in and then you get to a part and then if it just goes hell for leather, you've got to escape. Wario Land 3, possibly it was one of them. But it's basically that, but in a much better way. So you go and you get the artifact, and then you basically got to use your parkour to escape. This has got two things going for it that are done really, really well. Is first and foremost, the motion in this game, the fluid motion when you're trying to escape is sublime. You can run, you can jump, and they're your main keys, right? So you're running left to right, you press A to jump or whatever, and you'll do normal jumps. If you hold the right trigger, you start running faster, and it highlights elements within the world. So you might come to a ledge, and if that ledge is, highlighted with a golden yellow colour, and as you come to approach it, you will automatically jump it and things like that. But if you press the X button on your controller as you approach it, you get a bit of a momentum boost, and it helps you sort of go faster and away from what's chasing you. And rather than being complicated, it just feels really intuitive. The bits that are interactive glow for you, and they stand out. So you can't accidentally miss them, accidentally trip over them, or anything like that. It's there. So it assumes that, look, you're taking the part of this character who is a world-renowned parkour person. You are not you. You are this person. So, of course, they're going to have this sense about them of they know what they're looking for to be able to jump these things and be able to do this motion. You're just along for the ride in many respects. The challenge is, can you get out of there in time? So if you don't hit it, you don't trip over, but you might go slower. And you might eventually get caught because you're not going fast enough, which is a challenge. Doesn't matter how good of a parkour expert you are, it's a challenge you might face. So I really like that it puts you in the place of the character rather than, you get others going, this person's this expert marksman, and then they put you in control and you can't hit a barn door from 5 yards.
Yeah.
It takes you out of it. This doesn't do that. It does it really, really well. As you go, there's other things. You've got crew members who can do electronics experts or can unlock electric doors for you to help aid you. And then there's a planning stage on some of the later levels where you can plan your entry, your pick up, and your exit. And people will help you along the way if you've planned it properly. Plus, loads of extra bits you can go and pick up for added bonuses and what have you. It's really, really well put together. And it's got a really good story. So this is the bit we'll cover more next week and the reaction to this game before it's even out. It's made by a South African developer and it's self-published. And the South African developer team is a mix of white South Africans and black South Africans. Might be some other people from other nations or whatever thrown in there. But generally it's a South African studio mixed white and black. And it is about black heritage. It is about black African cultures reclaiming what has been stolen from them. It's a black story by people with black experience from the black side and from the white side, South African. Okay, so all the characters are black. They speak with dialect from. I would argue again. I don't know, so I'm guessing a bit here. That is a bit of a mix of different African countries with the dialect that's thrown in. I might be wrong, and I am happy to be corrected on that. But I would argue it's a mixed dialogue of just like maybe a section of Africa. But the story is they are going in, they are reclaiming things that are already stolen. Now, it's not just the case of everyone in this story either is going, oh, yeah, we can reclaim what's ours. Do you know what? There's moral discussions going on in there. The main character is like, but why do this? Why do we want to do this? Do we really want to do this? Is it worth it? And other people trying to argue the point going, yes, this is why we need to do this. This was stolen from us. This is our heritage. It is worth the risk. And they have these discussions. They're not all just in agreement of yes, the Westerners have taken our things and we want them back. And that justifies everything we're doing. They themselves have to justify and argue the justification. And it is done in such a good way that you're there and you're not just going, yes, I agree with that, or, oh, God, here we go, or anything like that. You actually there are going, okay, no, that makes sense. So it feels like, when you're, I'll use an example for a lot of people, like if you're at a pub and you've got two friends of opposing ideas having a discussion and you're just nodding along sometimes. I mean, you do make a good point. You're kind of that person in the middle as the audience. And each will make their points in respectful ways, but they have disagreements and everything. It feels really well done. The gameplay is really solid. The story is really well written. It's written realistically, and it is written, I think, from the Black experience. And I'm playing it as an outsider looking into this. Same way as when you watch something like Black Panther, where you, as a white Westerner as a whole, this is from my experience now watching it, is I'm watching it with this experience of life. And I watched Black Panther with some bits that just went, oh, wow, okay, that they didn't realise that was like that. Okay, that, and that wasn't overly deep because it was a Marvel film, but it still done those things. It's like watching, like Bamboozled, back in the day, that was a sort of like, I watched that first time round as a young teenager when this is just weird. Like, again, this is language I'm going to use that might seem a bit off. I watched it going, I don't understand the black stuff that's going on here. This isn't for me. Watched it again a number of years later with further lived experience and listening to other black stories, and I watched it with a new appreciation. And bits I found funny in there all of a sudden took another meaning for me because I learned. But still, as an observer from the outside looking in, this game does all that really, really well. As I said, with games like this that do have these questions or these experiences from different cultures that you might not understand, they've got a twofold thing they've got to do. Is one, can they reach out to larger audiences and tell a story that people can appreciate from different aspects? And it does that really well. But it doesn't matter how well you do that if the gameplay isn't good enough. This could tell the most important story ever put to video games. If the gameplay doesn't matter, it's not going to get out there. Now, this, story-wise, I think it's a really good story. And everything, it's not something the greatest thing ever written, but I can't experience that as, I say, a white Westerner who's not lived these experiences. I can't tell you from that side of it. The gameplay side of it, absolutely brilliant. Game of the year? No. But great fun to be had from the game experience? Oh, absolutely. And well worth discussion as to, where this should stand. I, unfortunately, don't think this will get the audience it deserves. Because already, and we'll talk about this more, don't look at the comments section on Steam or anything to do with this game because it is full of bigoted, puerile crap already. Because people are boiling it down to, oh, this is racist, this game, because it has black people as thieves. And it's just like, that's not what this is doing one little bit. And other people calling it woke and DEI. And you're just like, why? Why? It's why? It's literally my only question, and I do want to talk about this more in depth, but I don't want to ruin what I think is an absolutely fabulous game in and of itself, with a great and important story at the core of it. And I highly recommend anyone who enjoys platformers, who enjoyed something like, do you remember Exit back on the PSP? If you enjoyed that, but wanted something a bit more fluid, a bit more fast paced, that's covered for you. There's just so much in there. I think like the original Sly Raccoon games had that element to it, but the 3D element, I thought, of those really sort of like hampered this. This has got those, but it's on a 2D plane, so it works, and it's just, there's so much good stuff in there that it's just a fantastic game in and of its own right, that I honestly believe deserves to be played by as many people as possible.
Cool. That is a brave title to release. Yeah, I wholeheartedly think that's brilliant. What a great idea. Yeah, really pushing the medium forward by doing that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm all here for it. And as I said, brave, shouldn't be the word. You are right in that it's brave, but that shouldn't be the word we use. Because if this was about, I don't know, the lived experience of a Polish person in like 1939 or something like that, we'd be going, that's a really interesting, important story that we need to be told. But I think because it comes from African culture and holds a mirror up to ourselves as Western society, in many respects, of what our ancestors have done, a lot of people have to backlash it. They have to turn around and go, it's nothing to do, and what he's just woke telling these stories. Is it? He's telling the black experience of something woke? Well, I mean, it is, because woke in the original sense of the word, yes, it is. But in the way it's being used now, is it DEI? Yes, because this is what we've all been fighting for. But again, in the way that people have decided to use that, no, it's black people or black heritage telling a black story in an entertaining way, such as Black Panther, which, again, we can't forget, what was that, 10 years ago that came out, that first film, about 2015?
Something like that, yeah.
I did have a lot of backlash to it because of the story it told. And people didn't like the idea of the way it treated the white man within the context of the film, despite it being told from an African culture. And I think this game suffers a lot of problems, not on such a scale, but I think it's something it does suffer from. As I said, I don't want to go too deep into that right now, because I just want this. I want people to know about this game, and I want people to play this game because this is, when I do my game of the month at the end of February, it is right up there. It's up there with Cairn in terms of, is this my February game of the month? And it quite possibly could be. Not from anything else other than my enjoyability factor, is that even a word? It is now, of the actual experience of playing those levels. The levels themselves, and we spoke about this, the TWA effect. I'm going to write to Mike Biffle and tell him that we're gonna use that now. We've got to get that out there. The TWA effect is, could you strip away the story, the characters, and everything from that game, and that gameplay still be amazing? Yes. The gameplay is fantastic. The story just builds on that. Lovely.
Yeah, excellent. I've put it on the wish list. It's definitely something I'm checking out.
Do. But apart from that, there's plenty of other games to play and talk about and everything, but that's the two for this week.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, we've all got tons in the locker to talk about in the future. But yeah, that'll be it for this week. Yeah, so as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you're checking out our content on the website. Join us on Discord to chat if you wish. And until next week, stay safe and stay sane.